Hello? Are we having all attendees here, or could you please ask them to come and we start a plenary session? There are people waiting on the line. Can you check if... Joshua, did you manage to get the screen people? Hello? Yes. How are you? Did you sleep well? You got rest, yeah? Okay, you will... Okay, okay. No, we'll do dinner tonight, yeah. So,
I will be among the first group.
Yes, I think, yeah. I will call you, and thank you. So from this plenary session, I think we have Mr. Abdulaziz Ahmed Osman. He's here with us. And can you check if we have Oliver Work from Sequent Company? Thank you. You can wait for us. You will join us. He's there. Yeah. Thank you very much for being here. And do we have here Solomon Mutuka Kenjan? Is he joining us online? I have seen that so we know Alexander Richer is he's online. So IT people, can you assist us in connecting the participants who are joining on the online?
Yes, we have confirmed Alexander is online, Hailu Negu, and Jonathan Watson.
Wonderful. So Joshua, have we solved our screen problem, or we can continue without screen?
Not yet.
Come again? Thank you.
Not yet resolved.
So we continue then. I think we have 3 minutes late, so how soon we can get the...
We can proceed with audio, but the visual won't be possible for now.
Okay, can they hear us?
Yes, they can hear us and we can hear them.
Okay, it's
well.
only Mr. Alexander Richer, and what about the Solomon Mutoka from Kenjan?
No Solomon Mutoka yet.
And Mitatek, the CEO, come again? Disconnected? What's the name? Jonathan.
We have Jonathan Watson and the Alexander Richards.
Thank you very much. Good morning to you all. And I think we are on the second day of the 10th Africa Reef Geothermal Conference. To the main conference. So I think most of you really have really participated yesterday during an opening session with the guest of honor, the Vice President of Tanzania. And also I think we had a very, very successful ministerial roundtable discussion. And after that, particularly on the current situation about how geothermal really can contribute to the just energy transition and also be also a game changer compared to other renewable energy resources. And also I think yesterday was really a historic, it is a landmark for all actually the African geothermal experts and scientists, where the African Geothermal Association really took over the project-based UNEP ARGeo program to the matured African institution, which will be the African Geothermal Association. And as you know, that will be now, you have seen all the member states, ministers, permanent secretaries are really committed and ready to support the Africa Geothermal Association and also really be a bridge between Africa and the rest of the world, Europe and North America, Asia, and others. So we had also a very good, successful plenary session yesterday on a game changer for the future of geothermal resource development and insights. We really thank all panelists who have joined virtually and also, I think, online. It was a very successful discussion that will really lead us to, develop our resolutions, the Dar es Salaam resolutions. This morning, we are going to start with the second plenary session, which is focused on advanced technology, digitalization, and artificial intelligence for efficient exploration, development, production, and utilization of geothermal resource in Africa. I think this is very, very much important. We can see technology is always advancing day by day. So how can really Africa make use of this opportunity to enhance and accelerate these geothermal development resources, I think in a less cost and also in a less project lead time and also with a quality of results. So we will be hearing with very, renowned and distinguished geothermal people, actually in different, capacity, in different industries, the private sector, and also actually in the, the geothermal who are really putting and, disseminating this information. So I call upon, now we have, as you all know, most of you, you know him, Alexander Richer. He is, I think, the former president of the International Geothermal Association. I think Alexander did a wonderful job. He was really mobilizing the whole world, very much considering the contribution of Africa scientists and also programs. So he will be joining here with us today with the other panelists. And now also we will have now Alexander Ahmed Osman. I think he is the CEO for Global Geotech Services, Doha, Qatar. Most of you, know Osman, who is very much really supportive of the Africa Geothermal Association and also the geothermal utilization in Africa. Basically, as you know, he's from Sudan. So I call upon Osman to come in just here, join us at the panelists. And we have also Mr. Oliver Ward, the CEO of the Sequent company. Most of you, know the Sequent, where I think the UNEP was able to buy the licenses for this leapfrog Sequent, and we managed really to play or to use, for conceptual modeling and also mitigating the risk from that. So Oliver is here. Please join us, and he will tell us what are the latest technologies now, for this work and how we are going to really develop that. So then, Alexander, could you I know you are there. We are very, very much grateful and honored having you here with us, and also with a short notice that to be part of this technical or plenary session. And then we have also Jonathan from the CEO MATEC of UK. Thank you very much. For the time being, we have difficulty of seeing you, the screen, while they are doing it. Could you please, Alexander, we want to hear your voice just to greet us. And then, Jonathan, you will do the same till they fix the screen part. Alexander, over to you, please.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning from Germany, where I'm at the German Geothermal Congress.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Alex. And Jonathan from Metatech, could you please, can we hear your voice?
Hello. Good morning, everyone.
Yeah.
Hope you can hear me.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm Jonathan from the UK.
Yeah, wonderful. We have here your, I think, partners here, as you heard, Osman, and from Global Geotech Services, and Oliver from Sequent Company. So maybe let me start from Alexander. Alexander, you will know that you are really a vibrant, always, looking for new things to happen. You are also now playing a role in the think tank. So in today's digital transformation era, what are the advanced, transformative, and innovative technologies that really contributes, to the exploration, development, production, and utilization of geothermal, either, in all geothermal development value chain, and also in disseminating information actually and worldwide, and also within among institutes. Over to you, Alexander. Thank you.
Can I share a presentation, or is that, will you see a presentation?
Okay. Can we use, just please hold on. Can we use a presentation, Joshua?
No, we'll use his audio first.
Okay, that's fine. Then I'll just kind of do this off the fly here. So yeah, my name is Alexander Victor. I'm the founder of Think Energy, former president of the IGA, and currently developing geothermal heating projects for a developer here in Europe. So I have been in geothermal for about 18 years, I believe now, and followed, of course, the geothermal sector and its development through reporting on geothermal development worldwide, and have had a keen eye on the African continent, of course, as well. And in that regard, I have to admit that I'm not
excuse me, Alex.
Specialist.
Alex,
yes?
Excuse me. Let them maybe, can you hear Alex clearly, please? Yeah, just hold on. Joshua?
He can go on.
But, the sound
Yeah,
is
we're
not
setting
clear.
it up. He can go on. He can go on. He can continue
So,
speaking.
maybe I can give, for others who are here with us, and I give maybe to Alex later on.
No, let him continue trying now. He can continue.
Okay, Alex, please go ahead. Thank you. Sorry about the intervention. Please.
It's all good. Yeah, like I said, I'm not a specialist in AI, and will not take, let's say, a stake here that I know everything about AI. Of course, I don't. And there are a lot of companies that.
Continue? Hello?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah. Hello, please continue, Alex.
Okay. Like I said, there are a large number of companies in the AI space working on geothermal topics. So I'm not that familiar with everything that is going on, but of course I've been following it quite a bit. So I'm giving you, let's say, a very naive view on AI in the geothermal context from the way I have experiences in our work on reporting on geothermal. And of course, when we look at AI, we look at data, and data in the context of what is going on worldwide is an important aspect. And I think with that, I don't know, I assume that today will be some kind of announcement of the next edition at Menengai in Kenya. So I think with that, congratulations to Kenya joining the 1 gigawatt geothermal club.
Sorry, Alexander, can you speak without the headphones? Can you remove the headphones from the laptop, please? And just speak directly to the laptop. Yeah, can you try that? Sorry.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, continue. Thank you.
So, but do you hear me now well enough?
This is well enough. This is better. Go on.
Okay. All right. Like I said, in the context of geothermal, of course, the East African Rift Valley has a huge potential, which is currently only utilized in Kenya and Ethiopia. But hopefully with the development going on, we will see kind of a lot of development, but also we see a lot of challenges. We've seen a lot of support for the African sector, but we've seen not that much of developing kicking off. So data in that context plays a crucial aspect. And if we look at geothermal energy in the context of technologies, there are, let's say, a large number of innovative technology that currently are transforming geothermal development. We have the traditional hydrothermal resources, of course, and the adaptions and utilization there. But then we have the new technologies like advanced geothermal systems that use closed loop context. We have EGS, enhanced geothermal systems here with stimulation and the artificially creation of reservoirs or stimulating existing reservoirs. We see a lot of development in drilling well technologies. And then, of course, the whole topic of AI, machine learning. And here, the data processing to optimize drilling and exploration decisions will essentially enhance success rates and reduce downtime in drilling. So seeing all those new technologies, the availability of data, and we analyze data, is becoming more complex with every further development. So AI can play a crucial role here in speedier development, speedier analysis of that data, and work with it. If we look then further and kind of look of digitalization and artificial intelligence, how do we optimize geothermal exploration and production? And here, essentially, data integration is a crucial aspect. So using AI-driven models to analyze geophysical data for better site selection and risk management will be one of the crucial aspects. And we see a few companies in that space trying to make this happen. But of course, any decision is only as good as the data that you collect. So it's very crucial how you collect data at this moment and how you manage that data, how you store it, and to allow then for the analysis through artificial intelligence. Additionally, real-time monitoring will play an important part here. Remote sensing, data analytics for efficient resource management will be a crucial aspect. You can also reduce operational costs by monitoring well performance here to also then be more ready to predictive maintenance. And I think that's also very crucial. Digital twins will be also a crucial aspect, and here basically virtual models of geothermal plants that allow you to plan scenarios for any case of what can happen with the operations. So here AI can also play a crucial part, and you can then basically more efficiently run your plant by playing through several scenarios through artificial intelligence. And that is a very, very important aspect. And of course, with anything, a crucial aspect here is reducing cost in developing and scaling geothermal projects. So how do you do this? So for cost reduction, AI and digital tools can help optimize operations, as I mentioned before. They can reduce exploration and drilling costs, which are, of course, major barriers for African geothermal development, but also elsewhere, of course. Flexibility and modularity will also play a crucial part here. Modular and flexible geothermal plants that can be scaled up over time also will have to be, developed in order to make geothermal energy accessible for urban and rural communities in Africa. And then, of course, oil and gas energies, repurposing existing oil and gas wells for geothermal energy can reduce costs and expand geothermal. Here, the context in Africa to see kind of what is there, but the possibility here of utilizing that existing data through larger models and explore where and how you can utilize those existing infrastructure will play a crucial part, and AI, of course, can help in it.
So how do we apply those innovations in Africa? Are there case studies? I know that there are a lot of mapping efforts being done by various groups and organizations. And here, leveraging AI can help on resource management, real-time data to improve, as I said, plant performance, but also in exploring and analyzing geothermal resource data that we have available today and geology for modeling potential development. And of course, in the context of direct use and other applications here, integrating heat for industrial process, agriculture, etc., there we can also model a lot of things digitally that could help make decisions on development and application of it. So if I were to summarize, kind of looking at kind of how advanced technologies and data-driven solutions can push geothermal, we will have to see kind of how much of the new technologies being developed in Europe and in North America for the African market. Here, like the advanced geothermal systems, digitalization and AI. And it's a way of utilizing the know-how that international players, but also African players are developing for geothermal. And Africa has, of course, in particular Kenya, in the context with existing operating plants, could have great opportunity in developing some own digital tools, utilize some of the IT technology industry that's in Kenya to really push AI and the utilization of digitalization in the geothermal context. What do we need to do? We need to kind of really call governments, companies, and research institutions here to action. We need them to collaborate to leverage these technologies because it's so crucial that we can really push geothermal into further digitalization here to help for geothermal to play that vital role in the clean energy transition in Africa. I think that is very crucial. And we can start ourselves by utilizing AI in our daily work, but also utilize other platforms to learn about AI opportunities in the geothermal context. And I think that is very important that we have an open mind, utilize this, bring in the new generation, younger generation to geothermal that comes in with fresh eyes to kind of see what can be done. And I also encourage some of the existing AI companies to kind of think outside of the box of current development in North American or European context and to see how their technology can help in the African context. And with that, I have to stop.
Thank you very much, Alex, and our sincere apologies for these technical problems. But I really managed to hear you and really putting it from different aspects, particularly bringing the enhanced geothermal systems. I think maybe we can see that how this can be really utilized in the African context. Particularly those who have really not volcanic hosted geothermal systems and others to really go for the EGS. Indeed, the importance of the data collection, data management is very, very much important. Actually, you know, the suggestion made by you, now the solution is now the collaboration and cooperation among government, member states and private sectors and all is really very important. I think this is one of the things also, the takeaway that we have to really put, because data, you know, generation, compilation, integration and processing is very, very important. And that kind of tool is really will be important. You stay online, we will have many questions, and also I think there will be interaction. I hope the people also here in the audience has listened to you. We'll be very happy also to have a copy of your presentation where they can really lead us. Thank you, Alex, again. Now I really go to Oliver. Oliver, I think You have been very, Sequent company have been very instrumental, particularly in, producing this software that is the Leapfrog. And of course, we have been using that, the Sequent, the Leapfrog. And, the main source of that is having the reliable data, because Sequent doesn't bring data, but really use the data and also having our simulation aspects. That's how it did. So what are, the improved now based on that, this digital transformation or any kind of technologies that really enhance that apart from what you have there? Over to you, Oliver.
There you go. There you go. Well, thank you very much, and thank you, Meseret. I think the first correction is on the sheet it says I'm CEO of Sequent. I think Graham Grant, our CEO, would find that quite amusing, but I am a representative to Sequent. So, as you were said, Leapfrog is a well-known product, software solution in the geothermal industry, and many of the people I can see in here have used or talked about Leapfrog in the past, so I'm in good company here. But we also have a number of other software solutions which also help the geothermal industry, such as Oasis Montage for geophysical processing and Volsung, which is for reservoir management of geothermal reservoirs. So something that's really clear, and I joined the company in 2021, just after the COVID pandemic, and I think something that we can all relate to is, the infrastructure for communications have increased significantly. We have a lot better communications wherever we are, and because of that, people are now working more siloed. So they're working either from home or they're working from the office, from the drill site. So, for example, if you have well site geologists and they need to communicate to the geologists back in the office, sometimes that would take carting the data or sending it up to a share file and then downloading it again. And all of this creates complexity when building your models, because you end up with multiple versions of data and a lot of confusion. So something that we've been trying to work on is, and something we have in place is something called Sequent Central, which allows people working at the well site to upload their data into a shared space, which is immediately downloaded into the Leapfrog projects back at the office. So it's all about easing communication, and this kind of technology really helps in essentially maintaining the validity of the data and managing the data sets as you have, because as Meseret said, data in, good data in means good data out, but if it's bad data, then of course leads to bad data out. I think some of the things that have been touched upon, particularly when talking about AI is obviously that's been bound around a lot at the moment, artificial intelligence, but of course AI has existed for a long time. So an example of in Sequent's products, the use of AI, we have a core imagery software called ARGeo. So essentially, if you're drilling core in your wells and you're taking photography of that core, in the past you would take pictures, you would store it on a hard drive somewhere, and it would disappear into your hard drive and you'd never see it again. So what ARGeo does, using AI, is you take a picture of your core, it automatically, using AI, crops that image, so it's a perfect core image. And then later on, we can also classify the minerals and structures seen within those cores by using AI, so image recognition. There is also a discussion about different types of AI. So that one of the image classification is a type of classification AI, but there's also predictive AI, which is something that maybe we're talking about with reservoir production. Now, to understand how the reservoir is going to change in its production, you do need a fair amount of data in. So something that, talking about throwing AI to every single problem you need to make sure that that AI is trained on a vast database of information. So I put the call out to the geothermal industry here. It's all about sharing our data. So if people can get more used to sharing all their data and making sure that we can use that to train AIs to then identify and predict future production, that would help significantly in this field. Final word about AI as well is generative AI. So we've all heard about ChatGPT using large language models to generate, large pieces of text, for example. Now, a simple application that I can see is we have a lot of, for example, well logs and bits of paper that get scanned in by computers, and then we have a PDF format, which you can see on the screen, but it's not very useful in that image. What would be useful is using optical character reading, OCR, which computers have been able to do for many years, and read in all that data. But what AI, generative AI, can do is it has context. So if it reads a word and that word seems wrong, it will probably work out what the correct word was meant to be, which makes that, using that data, a lot more usable. And then we can start classifying all that data. So for example, you could say, where in my project do I have particular wells that have a gamma ray above 80? And you can automatically search that, and it will pull that data in, and it's already worked out. So, and to do this, implement this is not a difficult task. There are a lot of large language models which you can get from public source, and you can just connect it to your corpus of data, and it will be able to bring that in. So that's something, AI is something very exciting. We have a number of things in the pipeline at Sequent, but I can't, I'm afraid, talk about them at the moment because they're not quite at public release. But ARGeo is one of them that's using it. And to build on our digital ecosystems, we are also moving towards what's called Sequent Evo. Now, to try and describe Evo is sometimes a difficult concept, but essentially it's going to be a cloud-based system where you have lots of microservices. And what I mean by that is there might be one small part of, for example, Leapfrog that you want to use, and you have a load of data from one of our competitors, and you have it loaded into their software, and you want to use just a small part of one of our algorithms, so you can connect it to that, it will process the data, and then it will spit it out wherever you want it. And that kind of collaboration, working with our competitors as well, it's all about trying to open up data, but it's also all about trying to give you those small parts of kind of algorithms that you want to use, as well as sort of you can make your own kind of jigsaw puzzle of different services that suit your business. So to build, I'll pass it over back to Meseret if you would like.
No, go ahead.
Okay. I'm trying to, if I'm honest, I'm trying to think of what my last point was, but yeah, it's exciting industry out there. We have also recently acquired Flow State Solutions, who own Volsung and our other simulators like Gudrun. Those flow simulators was a key part that we were missing at Sequent, and they've been developed by our very small New Zealand team of 2, and they're an excellent product for understanding flow within reservoirs, and we're already seeing some fantastic case studies coming out of that. I think for a case study of how our software is being used, and I mean that there are so many case studies to use in the East African Rift, but I can think of, for example, one we did with GDC, Mengenai. We had quite a complex geological system. There was lots of issues of collapsed porosity. There were 37 wells. We were trying to understand how the system worked. And by putting it all in one 3D visualization space, which is Leapfrog, and looking at that data, immediately we could bring in, for example, the MT data. We could understand that actually the source was a lot shallower than expected. And we could also see a reservoir further south, which could have provided further production. And all of this aids, wells, like where you place your wells, and also future reservoir production. So just understanding, be able to see all your data at once in one 3D space and to see it from different angles really helps to build that model and to develop your geothermal field further. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much, Oliver. I think this is really, I think, what we have to see. And the bottom line is, having a very reliable data. If you give good data, all the softwares what we have will give us good results, good understanding, and that is, I think, the way we see it. I'm sure there will be a number of, intervention from the room, because most of the companies also here, like GDC, Kenton, and others, using software, and they will maybe tell us on that. Now I go to Osman. Osman, I think you are now really leading this global geotechnical services. You are actually, of course, all drilling for water, geothermal, and others for shallow resources and deep resources. So now I think we are hearing, and you have heard from others also, there are various technologies that can really give us results, in a very more efficient and effective way. Could you please tell us what your company is really doing in this matter and how it's going to, what the next steps? Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Meseret. Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here today with you, and I really praise the role UNEP is played along all this journey, and handing the floor now to AGA. But it's really a good opportunity to address some issues regarding what we can do and what we are learning day by day. So the geothermal, everybody knows it's a base load, but still with some restriction and some uncertainties, it is not developing too much. Sometimes I'm saying the forgotten energy, but they are telling me, no, let's say less considered energy. But frankly, now the momentum has increased too much, especially in the West, America, for example. And as my colleague mentioned about the artificial intelligence and the digitization, that is now the trend of all these high-tech companies, especially in the West, like Meta, Microsoft, Google. The more high-tech servers are coming up, the more energy you need. And they ought to accept the carbon reduction initiative and support more research in the academia and the industry about how to develop new energy, because the more artificial intelligence you are putting up, that means you need mega servers, and that require more energy. The energy, if you consider the electrical or electricity generation at one side, for example, we can say in northern hemisphere we need between 50 to 55% for heating, direct application. We can do that through heat pumps now. The development went very far to use heat pumps in heating the northern hemisphere. Yes, in the south we are so behind, but the success story of Kenyan and GDC in Kenya are good example we are always referring to in Africa as in the southern hemisphere. So it is based mainly with the science in place in Kenya and the high caliber of trainee in different engineering sector. Once you have the data in hand and you have it in a more digitized form, then you are access you are accessing more subsurface data. And that is the challenge. So when you talk about my main experience in groundwater, it's coming back now to geothermal. And our colleague in oil and gas now also they are coming up to geothermal. So it's a cycle now of all these subsurface data. And yesterday I was impressed by the ministerial, panel, which reflects part of this, will, and they are going to have more momentum and political will to accelerate the geothermal energy. Two things. For example, UNEP has collaborated with African Union about this risk mitigation. And it's not only the money that the African Union bringing to the floor is making to mitigate that risk. We have wealth of data in all African countries, especially now many colleagues from the geological authorities are here. So the more data you are preserving in a technical and a model way, that will lead you to a better understanding. Even there is no failure. Even if a dry well one time will become a successful one. We are talking in the oil and gas. My background is a petrophysicist and geophysical logging. So it's not always that you are, even in oil and gas, you are targeting the right horizon to produce. We are lifting so many horizons productive, but they are left untapped. The more data you have, even a dry well will come back. For example, I have now studying 2 wells. There are 4 wells actually drilled for oil and gas mainly in one state in America. And I have the access now to all the data from the drilling logs, the core samples, geophysical logs. Now I feel that there is a big potential to repurpose those wells to a productive geothermal energy source for that state, which is needed in terms of energy like electricity or in direct application heating and cooling, or in the RO desalination where we can use geothermal energy also to make water potable and to have access to subsurface data to store the excessive water during when it's available and use it when the people need it in the future. They are really now good progress. We are developing ourselves one tool for geothermal gradient temperature log in collaboration with a Chinese company to tap temperature logs up to 400 degrees, which is good. But now the good news in the States, for example, they are now going back to the organic Rankine cycle. Instead of 90 over 90 degrees, now they are considering 60 degrees for electricity generation. So the cycle is, the momentum is going on, and I would like that all colleagues in the geological authorities in Africa start with what they have now in the subsurface data, even the shallow well of 100 meter or 50 meter. If preserved well in data, then such people like Mr. Oliver, they can help in characterizing some information about the subsurface, at least to direct the future, even when we talk about surface geophysical studies. And the uncertainties is too much. We have much experience now. For example, an anomaly of resistivity can be attributed to graphite and not to fresh water. So,
okay.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Wonderful, thank you. I think this is good to really know that particularly you are really involved in different geotechnical, investigation, and that is the kind of, I think we have a good news now that we have actually the screen and we'll be able to see our brothers there. So thank you very much, Osman. Now we'll go to actually, I think Mr. Tesfa, he's from Canada Phonics, and we have seen yesterday one of the major equipment to really understand or the target sites, and one of the geophysical equipment that can be used. And Phonics, we have been there with UNEP and other also member states, really giving and selling these products. And let's hear from him that now there are a number of advanced technologies in different kinds of exploration. Yours is more of on the exploration. So how can you share with us now, in terms of reduction of costs, the drilling, the production and utilization? What is your view in that you can really share with us that can really enhance geothermal investigation in the region? Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
okay.
I can hear.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Tess Hyler from Phoenix Geophysics, Toronto, Canada. We are a manufacturing company. We also give a little bit services too, but mainly manufacturers. We are the world leader in MT, magnetotelluric systems. We have customers in more than 100 countries, more or less, and mainly in this East Africa region. The main customers are in Kenya, of course, as you know. Since 2004, we have supplied MT magnetotelluric instruments to Kenyan, and they have used it in Olkario and other regions. All the success is been, I cannot say 100% success is because of the Phoenix instrumentation, but they have also used other integrated systems, other systems, also other techniques, geophysical techniques. So we have been supplying Kenyan, GDC, National Oil Company, Kenya, here, TGDC, the Tanzania Geothermal Development Company. We supply them through UNEP and through other donors also. They have been using it. We have in Uganda, the Uganda Geological Survey, the Ethiopian Geological Survey, the Eritrean Geological Survey. I hope I didn't forget any country in this region. More or less all these rift systems, we have supplied instruments from 2004 all the way to 2024. As we speak, we have a deal that we are dealing with Kenyan and GDC. Like, I don't want to talk much about that because it's an ongoing process. So to come to the technique, well, just to make life easier, what we measure is electric and magnetic field. So as you know, I'm not going to write or to talk about Maxwell's equations, but directly you can go to what we want to see is the resistivity or conductivity of the ground. So resistivity versus depth. This comes from the electric field. We measure, I said, electric field and the magnetic field. So if you square the electric field over the square the magnetic field square is direct proportional to resistivity. So at different frequency, we measure different resistivity. It means, and higher frequency means shallow, and low frequency means deep. So we are basically slicing the ground. At the end of the day, you will have depth versus resistivity. Well, after that, it's a matter of interpretation. Third-party MT interpretation softwares will be used. And to be honest, geophysics would not be used if the drilling was not expensive. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think one borehole may cost between $5 to $10 million, I believe. So, but by applying, let's say, few hundreds of thousands of MT cost, either by subcontracting, but mainly having your own systems, let's say, basically can start with 3 systems. One will be a remote. As you know, the MT signal is a weak signal. It needs a remote reference. So by having 3 systems, let's say, minimum, you can have data, and what will happen is you will have the cost of drilling. I mean, you can increase the success rate. So that will help.
Thank you very much, Tesfa. Yes, I think that is the main part of the MT that they are using. But our focus is now, are there any updated technology which can, at the less cost and effective to really get, that kind of exploration? Maybe you will come with us later on. So I think we have online from actually the CEO of Metatech, Jonathan. Jonathan, could you please share with us what your company is doing specifically, for contribution of, the less production, less cost of production and utilization in others? Because our focus is now to have the innovative technologies to generate good data, and that, particularly, the high cost of geothermal is really one of the challenges that we have. So how do we really maximize our benefit and in the country using the various technologies that we have on the ground? Over to you, Jonathan.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Please go ahead. Thank you.
I'm going to share my screen. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see it in the conference, but I believe this has been recorded, so it may be useful for those at a later date.
Yeah, wonderful. We can see it. Jonathan, over to you.
You can see it? Okay.
Yeah,
great.
that's beautiful.
Okay. Yeah, just a quick introduction. So my name is Jonathan Watson. I'm dialing in from the UK. I work for a company called Metatech. So Metatech are a company that's involved in all the acquisition side. So as the previous speakers have been saying, it's all very well interpreting the data and applying AI to it, but what you need to start with is very good quality data sets to work with. And ourselves at Metatech, the previous talker was just talking about ground MT, which is an excellent application, excellent technique for geothermal exploration. And what we do at Metatech, we specialise really in airborne geophysical techniques, and then alongside the ground techniques such as MT, combining those techniques and technologies together gives you very high resolution, very good quality data sets that then can feed into the modelling and the AI interpretation. What we like to do at Metatech is what we call multi-sensor deployment. So a lot of the technologies that are around these days, whether it be in the air or the ground, they can be applied for different techniques. So whether it be oil and gas, minerals, hydrocarbon, carbon capture, natural hydrogen, natural helium, and then obviously through to geothermal. So what we like to do at Metatech is to combine those together. So to start with, particularly in frontier areas in Africa, where there is not a huge amount of data, or there is data but it's not good enough, it's not high quality enough for the purposes it needed for geothermal, is to fly those surveys with airborne acquisition, using as many different techniques as possible in one aircraft, in one survey. So whether that be FDG, which is full tensor gradiometry. Full tensor gradiometry is a very high resolution gravity measurement which has been successfully utilised, particularly in the Rift of Africa, for oil and gas applications. And the developments in that instrumentation means now the detail and the resolution that you can achieve from that make it very useful and very applicable to the geothermal market. And then combining that with your land acquisition, so MT is a perfect example of that, magnetotellurics, and that fits very well into the transition energy geothermal space. I'll just take you through a couple of the techniques really that we're utilising, particularly in geothermal. So the image, if you can see the image you see here is our aircraft flying over a survey which was acquired in Japan. And this was using what we call full tensor gradiometry, or FTG. Some of you may be familiar with the term FTG, or gravity gradiometry. It has been applied routinely in East Africa for oil and gas exploration. So what is it? How does it work? Well, traditionally or more historically, gravity data has been used a lot in exploration, particularly frontier exploration. However, the older systems are limited in their resolution and the detail that they can give back. And these newer systems, called the full tensor gravity gradiometry systems, the reason they're an improvement is rather than taking a single measurement, when you take a measurement of gravity, and when you're measuring gravity, you're measuring the density distribution of the rocks in the subsurface. You take multiple measurements, and those multiple measurements mean you get different directional information, different depth information, different resolution information. And so what that is equivalent to for those who are more familiar with seismic, is the equivalent of going from, say, 2D seismic data acquisition to 3D seismic data acquisition. It's a full 3D model of measurement. So when you put that in an aircraft, the way it works very well is these instruments are effectively a mass on a spring. So in a theoretical world, if you fly your aircraft with that instrument on, that mass is affected by the gravity changes around it in the subsurface. And so that gives you information about the subsurface geology, the subsurface geothermal plumbing system. The problem with these older systems is that the aircraft bounces around, it imparts noise and messes up the signal, and what you're left with is what we call low resolution or limited spatial resolution. And that means for a geothermal application, you don't get the detail you specifically need. With these newer gravity gradiometry systems, these FDG systems, very simply, it's more than one mass. For the example of the image, you may be able to see here it's 2. That could be 2, 4, 6.
Yeah.
Hello, yeah?
Yeah, could you please summarize it? Because this is very interesting, but maybe because of interest of time, I'm sorry about that. But this is very interesting,
No problem. Let me show you some examples. So certainly if we talk about gradiometry, typically you would shoot seismic survey and you would map your structures from that. If you take the same area, this is an area in Namibia, if you fly the same area with FDG, you get much higher resolution detail, much more subsurface information through. I'll just finish off a nice example of that in 3D. So this is an application that's been used very successfully. In Japan, we did a similar idea. So for objectives for geothermal, you're looking at magma changes, granites, fault networks, basin areas for heat transfer. And we're able to map those with that data in detail. And then, just a very quick note, these surveys are very rapid in their acquisition. These surveys can be acquired in a matter of days, and then the data is available. And then finally, I'll just mention MMC. So what we've been doing particularly at Metatech is combining the benefits of the MT, which has just been mentioned, and then the benefits of the airborne gravity gradiometry surveys. And combining those data sets together gives you a very accurate and very important sets of combined integrated data for your geothermal exploration program that can then get fed into your software and AI products. So,
thank you.
I'll end there.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I'm sorry, Jonathan, for rushing you. Actually, it was not meant to, So I think this is really one of the ideas that we really want to hear, and what kind of, the integrated mechanisms are there for exploration and development as well. So I want to give the floor now to Alex. He didn't get a chance to really see him and summarize a little bit. Alex, are you online, please? Hello? Can you hear us? Is Alex online, please? Can you see him on the... Okay, so I think among these now, what you have seen till we get Alex online, I think we have observed the main approach now for this exploration and development and all the utilization part is the main important aspect is how to really generate the base data. I think this is a very important thing, in whatever sense, whether is this for surface exploration or drilling or actually even the production and utilization. From these now, I think we have to really think loudly. The main focus, even what we have heard from Alex, what we have heard, now here from Jonathan, Tesfa and all. So how do you, in very simply that, what will be the best mechanism to really have a very clear and coherent data that will lead even to use the different technologies and get the best results? So I think I will start with you, Oliver, and then I think each of you, yes, okay.
You
so
use
you
this
will
one.
tell
Thank
us.
you. So yeah, I mean, and to tie together what's been said by all the other panelists, you know, there is a lot of old data out there, and old data is not bad data. Old data helps us inform more for our actual projects. So talking about sort of data formats as well, is getting that all in the same format and getting that data shared to more people. So something we've done is we've worked with countries to actually produce a public database of data, which allows a lot more people to come in and start looking at that data. So even old data, set it in the same format and try and get it more shared with more people, allows more people to look at that data and to advance those resources more.
Thank you very much. And Osman? Yeah.
Thank you again, Oliver. The basic challenge is how to compile this data. And as I said, there is no any raw data. Any old data is a new data for the future also. This is why I wanted to tell this our ministerial panel of yesterday, that in all geological authorities there should be some regulatory framework and policies towards respecting all subsurface data, if it is for minerals or for water or for any other raw material. That is the wealth of the future information to our new generation. So this is one way we need to. Now, actually, before that, when I was in the state, Project Inner State has adopted one geothermal house in New York. I was there. We met most of this energy giant like Meta, Microsoft, and Google. They are all ready now to finance most of these projects in order to utilize them in the future for better understanding of the subsurface, if it is for geothermal energy or for any other resources. So the data gap has to be bridged everywhere, and there should be some regulation and framework on all geological authorities. Actually, I visited Tunisia, and I found that.
Thank you.
The well is drilled by
wonderful. Okay, that's really very, very important, and all of us, maybe we know that there is now a regulatory or drilling code. I think some of the people from New Zealand, they can really share with us, and the African Union has done that really to optimize the actually the data and the information that's going to be collected during drilling. So, now, TESFA, could you, it is one of the methodologies of generating exactly, a very good data is the MT and TM from the geophysics. So just within 1 minute, just tell us what are the enhanced ones and how do they really optimize the results to really help for the exploration.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Okay. Yeah. Just to make things simple, now we have a new system, the MTU-5C. When we say 5, it means 3 magnetic channels and 2 electric. So this is a new system with a new software, empowered software, which is very user-friendly. In fact, as we speak now, we can even, if I have my laptop, I can communicate with the stationary systems in Nevada, in Iceland, that we have in southern Italy. So you can control the rest, we can see the parameters there. Anyway, now the 5C is very user-friendly and it's a bit cheaper. And we are in the process of upgrading the existing MT5 the old ones. This one gives you more reliable data, and you can play, and the processing also better. Well, I can't say the best, but better. Still, we are working and make it better. So the processing software is also very user-friendly and gives a good result. So, by the way, KENGEN has acquired the new system now, the MTU-5C, and of course the Directorate Geological Survey and Mines of Uganda too. So others also, I encourage them to upgrade, and I'm sure we'll give you a good deal either by trading or upgrading. Please visit me in my booth for further discussion. So this is a cost-effective and enhanced data and user-friendly software. And thank you.
Thank you very much. We know that we are actually behind schedule, but I will give one, if you think that it is a very burning issue that you want to hear actually from these panelists, including Jonathan online, and if Alex is there also online, just to really hear from audience. You want to know from these panelists, a very burning issue. Okay, please give, yeah.
Thank you very much. So my question goes direct to Phoenix manufacturer. Nowadays, we have electricity everywhere. There is no remote area that maybe you could deploy the remote reference. So it's now a situation where the remote reference is no longer applicable. So how can Phoenix go for a technique that is very friendly to electromagnetic noise so that we can avoid the ambiguity of noise data? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for the question. Are you in Tanzania or where?
From TGDC, I'm a geophysicist.
In Tanzania?
Yes.
Well, to be honest, I work in South Africa, and as we speak now, my colleagues are working in Japan. There is no more electrified place than these two places. And we have electric fences even in South Africa, which is a big challenge. So I believe there is a place, though you know better, there is a place where you can have, don't just choose, test it for a while, see the signal level, signal to noise ratio. So definitely there will be one. And with this new system, with the Empower, you can use it. And what we are encouraging now is a stationary system for the region, where you can borrow. We have a Japan stationary system where you can use it even in South Korea. So it's not locally. Actually, what I'm thinking is big companies like GDC and KENGEN, they can have a stationary system where all East African can borrow as long as you have the same sampling rate. So there will be a place in East Africa that can be used, a real remote reference. And the processing software is the one I was talking about, the Empower, will handle better than the previous one. And if you have more questions, maybe you can visit me in the booth, we can talk more.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Interesting. One more from this row. Any okay, Greg, over to you. This is a very interesting discussion. We are stealing time from the next plenary, but I think we should do it. So over to you, Greg.
Yeah, thank you. This one's really to Ollie at Sequent. I think one of the most important things that we can do in the industry is to collect our knowledge about how geothermal systems work and the concept models. And I'd observe that Sequent probably has within your systems or your clients probably the best collection of good 3D concept models in the world. And I just wonder if operators and developers wanted to opt in and share some key things, do you think that could be something that would work within the Sequent system, and maybe ultimately that sort of thing could be the basis for a true AI way of starting to interpret systems?
Yeah, thanks for that, Greg. Yeah, so obviously we work with many of the big operators around the world, and we obviously get to see some fantastic projects, and many of them I can see in the room today. And unfortunately, a lot of this is confidential information, so we can't share it. But something that's in that is we can start talking to operators and seeing if we can get a global public database. It's something that we are currently working towards. We actually used to have a geospatial global online database system called DAP, which is slowly being sunsetted, but we are moving with the announcement of EVO and Central. We are putting more geospatial information in there, so eventually we'll be able to see a global map of the world of all the data sets that we have publicly that can be accessed. And hopefully by doing that, we can start asking operators to say, hey, do you want to contribute to this? We can anonymize the data if you would like. We don't necessarily have to have it in a geospatial area, but we could maybe classify it a certain type of geothermal resource, and hopefully it can be used for educators as well. If you're teaching a class or anything like that, you know, that is very useful information for everyone to use. And there is such a wealth of old data out there as well, which just does get stuck in an archive, paper archive somewhere, and never sees the light of day. So the more we can encourage people to put it out, and coming from my background of a decade in the oil and gas industry previously, you know, we're starting to see that in the oil and gas industry. They're trying to pull out more data because countries realise the more public that data is, the more investors are encouraged to come in because they can do their preliminary desk studies first, beforehand, before they start applying for permits. So to encourage more business, to encourage education in geothermal and stimulate the industry, that sharing of data is incredibly important, and it's a great idea.
Thank you, Oliver. I think you will get a chance also to discuss later. One final one from this. Okay, please give Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, panelists, and thanks, Dr. Meseret. Regarding leapfrog, that's a sequent. What would you advise the Western Rift countries that have not so very good geothermal resources, given the costs involved? Which software of choice would it be? Thank you.
I think, firstly, I mean, it's not really about the software, obviously it's about the actual resource itself. And in fact, I'm not going to talk as a geothermal expert. I think I'd leave that to someone like Greg behind you to give you a bit more advice. But indeed, like, the first step is collecting their data together, converting it into a format that can be used, and we try and leave those formats quite open for Leapfrog. But getting that data into a project, and you'll be surprised how little data can start looking useful and start learning something about your field by just putting it into one space and looking at it in 3D. So getting in those paper logs, transcribing them, it's a laborious process and it does take a while. But once you have it into a digital format, then you can start talking and going up to investors and finding out whether there is a resource there. But doing that initial modelling, it all relies on the data firsthand, and then we'll see if there's a resource and it's potentially can be built upon that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think it was really. Do you have anything from the floor to say? Anything what you want? Just briefly, 1 second. Yeah.
Sorry, I forgot to mention that now also we are providing a 3D interpretation service. We have an expert now, Dr. Erhan Erdogan. He has a very success story, almost 100% success story in Turkey, successful drilling for geothermal. So we will also help you in making 3D interpretation software, or we can also give the service. That's that I want to mention. Thank you.
Yeah, very good. And we want also to know that if the cost is also relatively lower. That's what we are just doing. Yeah, wonderful. Jonathan, please, do you have anything to say online? Thank you very much, really, for joining us. Hello?
Yep, hello. Just like to very quickly kind of agree with what others have been saying. Yes, existing data, by all means, correlating all that together, using those data sets, pushing them as far as they can be pushed is absolutely crucial. And there is a lot of data sets that have been acquired for other industries, oil and gas, minerals, that can be turned to geothermal applications. And then assessing what you have and then what you need, and whether it be airborne geophysics such as FDG or land-based such as MT, it's what is required to push the geothermal applications to the level you need them to be. So yeah, assess your old data, push it as far as you can, and from that decide what new data acquisition then needs to be acquired for achieving your objectives.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. I don't think we have Alex online. So otherwise, please join me in applauding this distinguished panelists who are online and virtual. And then now I think we'll continue to the next plenary session. I think my brother Kizito will come here with his panelists. So photographers, could you please just take the photo? Remain here, Kizito.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Are you very tired? Okay. So we are going to have the next panel session, and it's on enhancing carbon markets to accelerate geothermal resource development in Africa, current state of play, trends, and future scenarios. So I'm going to invite the panelists. Some will be online, some will be here physically. So it is my pleasure to invite the panelists who are online. There'll be two. May I invite Taju Rio to join, please, from Southpaw. He's joining online. Then may I invite Gabriel Labate from UNEP to also join the panel. Then I have three people who will be joining physically. Kindly, Emma Mwangi from Southpaw, would you join the panel, please? Yes. Then we have Engineer Mkufu Shabani. So let's applaud them as they join. So I think we'll have two panelists online and two panelists physically here with us. So I think in the interest of time, we've already gone a bit, we've eaten into our time, so I'll try to remind me of time so that we keep within 1 hour of our discussions. So I'll just go straight to the points. And the first question or the first discussion point will go to Emma Mwangi, please, from Southpaw. And I would like Emma to introduce briefly what are carbon markets and then what misconceptions do people have around carbon markets, and then thereafter I'll go to the next question. Kindly, Emma, please briefly introduce the topic. Link. From IT, please try to share the link with Taj. Taj Urio, he's trying to join but he's unable. So we can just proceed. So welcome, Emma. Maybe I go back to the question. Just briefly introduce what are carbon markets or carbon credits, and then the misconception people have around carbon markets about buying and polluting. So please, welcome.
Thank you very much. There's a lot of misconception that happens within the space, and I think maybe we can start by breaking down what are carbon credits. So basically, carbon credits are tradable or permittable permits that represent basically a carbon credit is 1 metric ton of carbon that helps to reduce or is a tradable certificate or permit that enables you can use it to measure or offset as a way of reducing your greenhouse gases. So we look at different companies that have high emissions, so they get to purchase a carbon credit as a way of offsetting their emissions. So it's a tradable permit. I think this is just a baseline of understanding what a carbon credit is. There are various key components when it comes to understanding what are the features of a carbon credit. So one of them is emission reduction. So each carbon credit responds to a specific amount of reductions achieved by a project. Example is such as renewable energy projects, especially with the theme of what we're talking about as geothermal projects, right? And then, of course, we have market trading, which is part of carbon credits, where they can be bought, what I've initially talked about, in the compliance market and also in the voluntary market. So there are two types of markets when it comes to trading of carbon credits. So we find that these organizations are able to purchase credits to offset their emissions, just as I've mentioned, and they help in meeting the regulatory requirements of their sustainable goals. Another thing is certification. So these are certification bodies that ensure the integrity and the authenticity of carbon credit projects. So carbon credit projects, or other projects that are generating carbon credits, must go through various certification projects where they have to be considered if they're real, if the project is measurable, and what is the additionality of that particular project. As I've mentioned, there are two types of markets. So we do have the compliance market. So this compliance market is governed by regulatory frameworks. There are various different countries within Africa that have already set foot or are way ahead by putting up carbon regulations within their space. Then we have the voluntary market. So the voluntary market allows organizations, individuals to purchase credits voluntarily, often most to enhance the environmental responsibility. So they have set their net zero targets and they use carbon credits as a way of offsetting. So basically, carbon credits has a role when it comes to climate action, and carbon credits plays a very crucial role in mitigating climate changes by providing economic incentives, reducing greenhouse gases, but they also help to fund and contribute sustainable development transition to a low carbon economy. So this is just an overview of what a carbon credit is, but I also wanted to discuss more in regards to what is the carbon market. So carbon markets basically are platforms where companies, where carbon credits are bought and sold. So these credits represent the right to emit amount of greenhouse gases, and the goal is, well, the overall goal basically is to reduce the overall emissions and try to combat climate change, basically to combat climate change. And the market incentivizes emission reduction by reducing by assigning like a financial value to the carbon. That is why you see there is an appetite in terms of a lot of developers moving into creating carbon projects across. So I've mentioned about the different types of markets and how the carbon market works. So we have the cap and trade system. So within the cap and trade system, it's usually used within the compliance market, where a cap is set on the total emissions that companies get to receive or purchase emission, or rather their purchase emission allowance. So this, those that reduces emissions can set their excess allowance by creating a financial incentive to cut their emissions. And then, of course, we have the carbon credit set, where one carbon credit typically represents 1 ton of CO2, either reduced or either avoided. So the projects generate credits can be renewable projects, it can be cook stove projects, and so forth.
Okay, thank you very much, Emma. I think that that's a fairly good introduction to what carbon markets are and the background to it. Now, I'll go to the next panelist. This question will go to Taj Rio. Taj is online. And Taj, kindly, we would like to know what is eligible to attract carbon finance within the carbon markets. I think if you elaborated this to the audience, it will be very of interest to them. So kindly, Taj, if you are online, please. Taj, are you online?
I think Taj has not joined yet. Maybe we can move to the next speaker. Sorry, moderator.
Okay. So I think, yes, when he joins, we'll take this question back to him. So this will go to Gabriel Labate from UNEP. I think I would like to understand how UNECC have supported policy of involvement in policy development, and you can give us some perspectives from the global context so that the audience appreciates. Welcome, Gabriel.
Thank you very much. You hear me well?
Yes, we can hear you well.
Excellent. The previous speaker gave a very good summary of what carbon markets basically, how they operate, and the work that UNEP does in support to countries basically is on two things. On the one hand, we want countries to put in place a system that can be flexible can give the enabling conditions for carbon markets to operate, that will be flexible in the way that countries could open up to the voluntary carbon market and allow the issuance of credits through the VCM, the voluntary carbon market. At the same time, to access Article 6. Article 6 is coming. It has taken a bit longer than expected, but it's going to be a reality fairly soon. Some countries also are in early stages to have a domestic carbon market. That kind of example in which you have a cap, you have a limit set for emissions. Some countries want to allow the use of offsets into this domestic market, using, for example, the experience of California, which is a domestic cap and trade market that allows a portion of allowances to be covered by carbon credits, by offsets. So the type of support we are offering is for countries to put together the enabling conditions for this system to start operating. Start simple. Let's remember that markets function very well when the rules of the game are clear and function even better when the rules are as simple as they can be. Not simpler than what they should, but as simple as they can be. So that is one area of support. The other one, which for this conversation is quite important, is the integrity of the credit. I mean, not every credit you see in the market when it comes to renewable energy is considered the same. Some credits are perceived as having a greater quality than others. And renewable energy particularly has been a credit category in which there were significant concerns about quality. Particularly when it came to large-scale power generation. Geothermal can be different, and there are good examples out there in Africa, including, of geothermal projects that have issued credits. Well, I'm based in Kenya, for example. There is a good example in Kenya. It's called the Olkaria geothermal project. As far as I understand, this project is using the CDM methodology. There is another one in Kenya as well. If my memory doesn't fail me, it's using a DCS methodology. Now, the situation there is that the CDM methodologies are transitioning to Article 6, and they will be reviewed, meaning that they will be reviewed for quality. And the methodologies in the voluntary carbon market for renewable energy recently had an evaluation, and they were found to be in need of some adjustments. Apart from being a UNEP staff, I am co-chair of the Integrity Council for the voluntary carbon markets. We were not looking at geothermal, we were looking at renewable energy. But there are a number of things, a number of issues that were found for renewable energy that those that are willing to develop geothermal projects could look at. So to conclude this, for this second line of work, we help countries to put in place systems that are not only flexible, that can cater to the BCM Article 6, while being closely aligned, coordinated in case the country wants to establish a domestic carbon market, and very importantly, that the methodologies that you allow to operate in your particular country are of high quality, that are considered of high integrity. And actually, this is in the best interest of countries, because methodologies that are considered to be of high quality are those that will fetch the best prices in the future.
Thank you very much, Gabriel. I think that's quite some elaborate explanation on the role UNEP is playing to support the carbon market. So I would like to take, I don't know whether Taj is online. Taj?
Yes, sir.
You're
yes,
online. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, I'll just go back to the question that I had posed. So there is the issue of the eligibility for projects that can attract carbon finance. Now, how would geothermal fit into this? Geothermal energy projects fit into attracting carbon finance from a perspective of the carbon markets? Kindly.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So first of all, not everything that is contributing to emission reduction it's eligible for carbon projects because it depends with the availability of the methodology and standard for that. But regarding the geothermal, which is part of the renewable energy, and my colleague from UNEP has talked about the methodology on the renewable, it's eligible. The geothermal resources, they're eligible for carbon project, and you can develop a project. Actually, at South Pole, we have developed over 5 geothermal projects in Asia, and we've already seen it on the ground that it works. There are a number of other eligible, technology within the energy space, but also outside the energy space. Now, in relation to different layers of eligibility, one is more of the availability of the standard and methodology on that. But the second one, now talking more into compliance carbon market in relation to Article 6, it's more on the sovereign level where the country has the sovereign power to decide what is eligible to Article 6 transaction and what is not. And this is based on the readiness to provide authorization and later to provide transfer or corresponding adjustment of the credits. Now, using the opportunity of having the Article 6 mechanism in place, and the power that governments can do in terms of deciding the eligibility and the readiness to authorize the project. For the context of Africa, I think we have a huge opportunity to use this room of the Article 6 to put the geothermal resources and related projects as part of the eligible project to be authorized by the government. Why? Because it requires heavy capital. It's a capital-intensive investment, but also it requires high technology. For this, we need additional means of implementation, and it's obvious that we can justify why we need the carbon finance for this. So, in context of the Africa, yes, geothermal is a lead. The penetration rate for geothermal is quite low. So the issues to do with the additionality, it's obvious that it is something that we can prove that we need these resources as part of the energy transition and the decarbonization effort within the energy sector. And of course, the market opportunity that we do have the Article 6 itself.
Thank you very much, Taj. I think that's quite clear and very well elaborated. I'll go to my next, I think, speaker, panelist. And this will go to Engineer Mkufu Shabani. Please, Engineer. Okay, from a country perspective and a country context, what have you tried to do within Tanzania to create policies, a policy framework, and within the energy sector with regard to carbon markets and trading? Kindly. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Kizito and the rest of the panelists. Actually, I will just respond to what has been going on the ground as a country perspective here in Tanzania. Yes, we have very good established regulations and guidelines that are supporting the carbon markets. We have the regulation 2022, the carbon itself, that is working as a guidelines for all the investment and how to develop the carbon project. And this goes as far as up to the establishment of the dedicated national registry. We have a dedicated national registry here in Tanzania who are the responsible to oversee and who are the eligible to register all these carbon credit projects, as well as the guidelines is working all together with the national environment guidelines that goes far up to the how does the benefit sharing is going to the country itself, to the society, and everywhere. For the space of the energy sector, because the process of registering and establishing these carbon projects, they are very lengthy. We have decided to route it back at the space since we are doing the initial planning of the project. That is where we are doing screening and identify those potential projects. So those are the type of initiative that we are doing as a country. And currently, as we are speaking, there are more than over 50 projects which are under implementation, and others are in the process of registration. And we have also started in our space as a geothermal as well. Thank you.
Mic is on. You can use that one. Not that one. Yeah.
This other one. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you very much, Engineer Mkufu, for quite some elaborate aspects of what Tanzania has done as a country in the carbon around the issues around decarbonization. Now, I would like to take this question, next question, to Emma Mwangi. And kindly, Emma, this is around certification. So what steps does one has to do to get to where you are certified for emission reductions? What are the requirements and what are the steps? Kindly, Emma.
Thank you for that. So I think the certification process is a cycle. And the cycle starts by first identifying what project are you setting up. So in this concept, we're talking about a geothermal project, which is part of a renewable energy project. So you first identify that. And again, the second step is conducting a feasibility study. So we assess the technical aspect of the project and the environmental feasibility of the project. The second step is project design. So this is where the methodology of that particular project is selected. And our technical team is able to work with the various standard bodies to identify which particular standard is best fit for that particular project. Is it gold standard? Is it Vera? And so forth. During this particular selection of the methodology, there's also the concept of conducting baseline scenarios. So with baseline scenarios is basically to establish what emissions, or rather determine what emissions would occur without the project. And then the final step is documentation, where a project design document, or what is normally referred to as a PDD, outlines the project details. So it outlines the methodology that has specifically been used, what are the specific emission reductions that that particular project has. And then the third step is validation. This is where third-party auditors come to validate what exactly has been indicated on the project design document. So they look at is the document, is the PDD referencing what exactly is happening on ground, and so forth. And then the final step is a validation report is written out by the third-party auditor, who has verified that whatever has been indicated on the project design document, or what we mention as a PDD, is correct. And once that has been identified, now the project is set to go under the registries. So the project, again, has the implementation aspect of it, where there's an execution, the project execution, where the activities are monitored for the cycle. So this is where, again, a third-party auditor will come to do the verification of the project to ensure whatever had been indicated initially at the stages of producing or creating the project design document is actually correct, and the activities of the implementation are actually going with the guidelines of how the methodology has stated. And then the data is collected, a monitoring report is given, and finally you finalize the verification cycle, and finally you get to the stage of receiving your issuance. So after you have received your issuance, you now get to the step where you now are able to trade the credits that have been generated from that particular activity, or rather that particular project. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Emma. I think that you could hear the steps that you need to get to issuance and possible monetization of the emission reductions. Now, I think I'll take this question to Gabriel and Rio in turns. And possibly it's just, what are your thoughts around scenarios that would play in carbon markets to improve, if they're improved, to support geothermal energy development, for example? So kindly, I'll go first to Gabriel, then the thoughts from Rio. Kindly.
Thanks. Well, there are two things here. First is that how we see the future of carbon markets in general, because geothermal will be part of that. And, you can find as many opinions as people you ask, but at least what we consider in UNEP is that carbon markets will grow, that they are a tool, an important tool in a toolbox in a situation as we live now, in which we are missing 1.5 degrees. The target of 2 degrees, if we continue going this way, will be missed too, and that is very, very, very bad for all of us, particularly for people that are the most vulnerable. And we know in Africa, Africa has significant parts of the continent that are already suffering from the effects of climate change. So, response number one is our estimation is that carbon markets will grow and will grow significantly and will be an important tool in countries to mitigate the emissions. Now, if we go to geothermal, then the response is, well, it will depend on quality. And that goes back to my first response about, what is that at UNEP we are paying attention to. And the quality of the credit issued, the additionality of the project, the calculation, carbon quantification, that those things are going to be key. And they can be done. There are some good examples there. Not a lot, but there are examples that can be done. That can be done means that we can issue credits of high integrity. Keep in mind that the bigger the project, the more complicated will be to make a case for the additionality of the project. It is not impossible, but the complications grow with size. But there is a lot to do when it comes to at least medium-sized projects that can be deployed without the need for significant amounts of money for the pre-investments. So in summary, yes, we see a future. We see significant potential, but again, the message is pay attention to the quality of the credit issued.
Thank you, Gabriel. I think for the thoughts. I would like to get some thoughts from Urio on the SAM, just the scenarios that would play. Kindly, Urio.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. And first, before I dip into the scenario, I just want to add some few things on the steps. So my colleague Emma spoke about the standards and the in-house steps, but also due to the development of the market, now we do have the national carbon registries, where you also need to go through the national registration processes, which happen parallel with the process that my colleague Emma mentioned. And I'm happy to and confident to say that at Southport we do have a number of expertise in different geographies that can help developers and other stakeholders to navigate also through the national registration processes, which is requirement by the legislation of different countries, and as well as the international decisions to improve the quality, but also the risk of not having the double counting. Now back to the scenarios. As my colleagues mentioned about the market development, I can say voluntary carbon market is projected to grow, as well as the compliance carbon market. All this says there will be a huge demand for the credits, but of course of higher quality. And the geothermal has a role to play in this in terms of the supply to the markets. And the more that we can demonstrate the project is of higher quality, the more we can attract the good price for the credits. And one thing I'll say, as part of expanding the scope of developing a geothermal project in the region, it's more on including it in a national greenhouse gas inventory as part of the baseline for national emissions, and then include it into the eligibility of the project that will be authorized for the Article 6 transaction, and provide a guarantee that transfer of the credit will be done without risking the national obligation toward the emission reductions as per their NDC. So there is a huge opportunity. There will be a huge demand as we wrap up the ambitious NDC. So the more we have ambitious NDC, the more we generate demand for ITMOs, the International Transfer Mitigation Outcomes, but also for the developing country, particularly Africa, they play a vital role in terms of supplying to these ITMOs as part of contributing or incentivizing the investment toward low carbon pathway. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Rio. I think very, very nice thoughts about the scenarios that would play out for geothermal support to support geothermal development. I think I take some comment from Engineer Mkufu Shabani, please.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Kizito. I'll just go directly to what were the future scenarios that could happen if these carbon markets were in geothermal sectors. As we know, most of the energy projects, they are very capital intensive, and specifically for the geothermal, we have a high upfront costs for de-risking the projects. So the more we realize these are a carbon market, that means we are attracting more revenues that will be helping you to unlocking the financing of these geothermal projects, as well as the revenue would help us as countries to route the financing also to other development activities, such as expansion of the energy access, as we all know that we are still struggling as a sub-Saharan Africa to do the energy access expansion projects. So this will be the benefits that will be realized. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Engineer Shabani, please. So, last comments from Emma. Emma, please, Candy, your thoughts?
I think the potential scenarios, future scenarios is with a robust monitoring system for the particular projects that are being implemented, being able to have or closely work with the standards when it comes to the verification of the projects. It helps put a sense of trust with how the project has been implemented, which opens up the door for carbon finance, and it gives reliability for potential investors to tap into the market and invest in the projects, whether it be in regards to the implementation of the project or rather in terms of purchasing the credits that have been purchased with the project.
So thank you, Emma, thank you, Engineer Mkufu, thank you, Gabriel, and thank you, Rio. So I think we are right on time. I would like to invite a few comments, questions to the panelists, please, from the floor. So now it's your turn. Whatever your thoughts, whatever the comments you have. Candy? Yep. That's it.
Hello. Yes. Hi. My name is Sveinborg Gunnarsdóttir. I'm a geologist at ISOR in Iceland. So I just wanted to ask the panel or someone in the audience about the regulatory framework for carbon capture and storage, with regards to geothermal production. Because I know in Europe the EU has some work done on the framework, and this might not be very feasible in the case of Iceland. So because the regulatory framework now is going to sort of insist of special storage permits if injected fluids contain CO2, which they do in almost all cases in geothermal. So I just wanted to ask from different countries in Africa if you have a specific regulatory framework in this case.
Let's take another question, maybe 3, then we can respond, please. Any other question? Excuse me? From them.
Good morning. Thank you very much. My name is Agnelli Kafue from Zambia. My question actually goes to the panel regarding the part of carbon credits. Over the years, there has been quite a lot of opacity and a lot of criticism about the fact that there is very little actual benefit sharing mechanism which trickles down to the people who actually really need them on the ground, especially when it comes to the trading part. I wanted to find out how we can continue fostering the aspect of the benefit sharing mechanism and transparency in the actual whole carbon trading scheme, basically. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let's take a third question so that we can respond to all of them in one go. Okay, if there's no third question, I think to the panelists, I think question number 1 was on regulations around carbon capture and storage within the context of the African countries. And I don't know who would be very well suited to take this. Taj, please. Taj or Gabriel? Would you come?
Maybe, thanks. I can chip in, and because also time is flying from my side and I have another commitment, so I can respond and maybe proceed. So on the regulation regarding the carbon capture and storage in the region, most of countries, they do have a specific one that either prohibit or provide guidance. However, most of the regulation that will apply to such kind of project is environmental impact assessment, which is required by many countries. We have seen one project also in Kenya on the carbon capture and storage, and the huge requirement for such it's environmental impact assessment so far, and we don't have yet a specific regulation on the carbon capture and storage. So I think this is an opportunity in terms of looking on safety and the sustainability, but also on how we can use geothermal sites as part of the sustainability and in a safe way, how it can be part of the storage facilities or resources as well for that. So shortly, we don't have enough clear regulations and framework regarding the carbon capture storage in the region, beside having the environmental impact assessment. And maybe just to contribute on the other one, before I leave, on the benefit sharing, it's true that there has been a challenge in the region regarding the benefit sharing, particularly understanding that the community and the governments as part, they also need to benefit because these assets are generated in their, their jurisdictions. And for the case of Tanzania, for instance, the benefit sharing mechanism is quite clear by the regulations, where if you are developing a certain type of the project, there is a percentage that go direct to the community, and other go direct to the government, but also and the managing authority with the owner of the project beside the owner who own the resources and assets for the project. Now, and taking into consideration that carbon projects, they are not the same, they are quite different, they require different level of investment. The regulation in Tanzania also understand that. So there are some of the project type where the benefit sharing can be negotiated based on the role of the stakeholder in the project development. If you are investor in the project, that means the benefit sharing will be different. If you are doing a pre-investment, the benefit sharing will be different. But also, I've seen in Kenya, in many other countries that are now developing the carbon framework and regulation, they are also speaking about the benefit sharing and provide the guidance on how the community will benefit, but also on how the revenue will go to national government, making sure that there's also, a benefit aside the project itself and it is sustainable benefit. There's also financial benefit that goes to the community. So, and the way that I can encourage other countries to do, and of course the community and all stakeholders, is to ensure that our people do have a knowledge capacity and technical capacity to negotiate, but also to look at the different financial model and make an informed decision when it comes to deciding the benefit share, because this is not something that is emotionally decided. It's based on the financial model of the project itself. So you can implement the same geothermal project in a given area or country, but depends on the national requirements, depends on the level of investment, but also the role of a stakeholder in such a project. The benefit sharing mechanism can be different. So it's good to understand the financial models, but also to put the community and peoples at the forefront, that they also need to develop, and benefit from these assets that are being generated from their own country. Thank you. And please allow me to leave for now and attend another important session. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Rio. I think we allow you. You've really done us well. And I don't know whether there's any other question. One question, then if no question, comment. Okay. Yeah, I think it's 1, 2, 3, no question, no comment. Now I think we come to the end of this panel, and I would like first to thank the panelists, and we need to give them, we can thumb down, we can clap for them. So thank you very much, Gabriel. Thank you very much, Uriyo, Mkufu, and Emma. And it's been a very, very good session. So just one announcement. I think we'll break for tea. So we'll take about 20 minutes. So by 11:30, we need to break up sessions to go to the parallel sessions. So thank you very much. And welcome to tea. Oh. Online team, there's a photo session.